Here's a question. What makes a city unforgettable? Is it the views, the food, the vibe, or maybe it's the Barbies? Yeah, you heard that right. Welcome to Montreal, a city that somehow makes freezing temperatures feel like a warm hug. Let's talk about my whirlwind weekend trip to this magical winter wonderland and why it made me think about how we find joy even in the coldest moments of life. December in Montreal is cold. I'm talking, I can't feel my face kind of cold. But Old Montreal, oh, it's like stepping into a Christmas postcard. The streets, the lights, and the vibes. It's almost enough to make you forget the ice creeping into your boots. Almost. Old Montreal is one of those places that feels like it belongs in a storybook. These cobblestone streets date back to the 17th century, when this was the heart of a French colony called Ville-Marie. It's amazing to think about how much history is tucked into every brick and corner. But let me tell you, walking these streets in December, it's a whole different vibe. The place was practically deserted, probably because most people are smart enough to stay indoors when it's this cold. Most of what you'll find here are chic restaurants, cozy cafes, fashion boutiques, and a sprinkling of furniture shops. But here's the thing, I didn't go inside any of them. Instead, I kept walking, soaking in the quiet, which felt oddly peaceful, but I couldn't help but wonder if this place comes alive in the summer when the patios are open, the streets are buzzing, and there's more energy in the air. One highlight though, stepping into the Noël Éternel Christmas store. Imagine being inside Santa's workshop, but classier with fewer elves. Its floor to ceiling festive ornaments, twinkling lights, and holiday magic in every direction. Even though the streets outside felt a little lifeless, the store was like a little Christmas miracle turned away from the cold. Walking through Old Montreal in the winter is a mixed bag. Sure, it's a little quiet and maybe not as lively as I imagine it would be in a better weather. But there's something about these old streets, the architecture, and the history that makes you feel connected to something timeless, even if you're freezing your toes off while doing it. And the Notre Dame Basilica is stunning. It made me feel small in the best way. Standing there under the glowing blue ceiling, I couldn't help but think about how we all need spaces. Whether it's a church, a mountaintop, or even a quiet coffee shop to pause and just exist. Speaking of coffee shops, can we take a moment to appreciate how Montreal turns everything into art? Crew Collective Cafe is inside an old bank, and sitting there felt like I was signing treaties, making deals, being fancy. And let's be real, sometimes it's the little luxuries that make life bigger. Even the malls were shining with bright Christmas decorations. Now let's talk about Barbies. Over 1,000 of them. I stumbled into the Barbie Expo and I'm not even ashamed to say I was blown away. Seeing so much creativity packed into these tiny dolls made me think, why do we ever stop playing? Somewhere between growing up and adulting, we forget how important it is to just marvel at something, even if it's pink and plastic. So here's a life lesson, never underestimate the power of whimsy. Next stop, Mount Royal. Now, if you have never stood at the top of a freezing hill with a coffee in hand staring at a city spread out before you, you haven't truly lived. Something about these views makes you feel you're part of something bigger. Like every rooftop, every light down there holds a story, just like you do. And isn't that kind of beautiful? Or maybe that's just the caffeine talking. The Mount Royal Chalet was the perfect reward after the climb to the top. It's this charming, rustic lodge with big wooden beams and floor to ceiling windows that frame the city below like a postcard. Sitting there with a hot coffee, warming up while soaking in that breathtaking view felt like a little slice of winter paradise. Now, I didn't really save the best for the last, but I wanted to see all the Christmas decoration and lights in the dark, So, this was my final stop, the Great Montreal Christmas Market. Guys, I don't care how cold it is, if you're in Montreal in December, go. Just go. The twinkling lights, the smell of roasted chestnuts, the cheerful chaos of it all. It's like stepping into a Hallmark movie, but better because it's real. And as I wandered through clutching my hot chocolate, I realized something. The best moments aren't always the big, planned ones. Sometimes it's just about being in the right place, surrounded by the magic of the moment. So, here's what I took away from my weekend in Montreal. Life is kind of like a trip to a new city. It's unpredictable, a little cold, sometimes overwhelming, but also full of surprises. Like a Barbie exhibit, or an incredible view, or a Christmas market that makes you feel like a kid again. The trick is to let yourself feel it all, even the cold parts, because that's where the magic is. And hey, if you're ever in Montreal in December, pack a warm coat and an open heart, you won't regret it. Thanks for coming along on this adventure with me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell me what's the most magical place you've ever visited. See you in the next one. Bye.